Hi everyone, welcome to IVA, the Royal Swedish Academy of Engineering Sciences here in Stockholm, Sweden. My name is Maja Neyman, and I'm the project manager of the Junior Academy in Sweden. We are proud partners of the New York Academy of Sciences, and our task is to enhance the Swedish participation in the truly international program, the Junior Academy. We are delighted to host this inspirational event, which is a combination of expert talks about the upcoming challenge on the textile industry, as well as inspiration from Swedish participants in the Junior Academy on how to form teams and how to collaborate online. The Junior Academy is all about international teams and innovation challenges. It's completely virtual, which enables this truly global representation. Sweden is a small country, but our participation in the Junior Academy is quite substantial. We right now have the second largest participation when related to population after Singapore. Remember that this program is both a network and a competition. It's all about discussions with your fellow students and with mentors and experts. It's of course about the challenges, the backbone of the program, but it's also about skills training. Make use of your connections through Launchpad. Remember to engage with people from all over the world, and of course, remember to have fun while doing so. Today we will focus on the upcoming challenge on green textiles. This is one out of 2 challenges that we will launch this semester. And today we've invited 3 distinguished experts on what's needed to transform the textile industry into a sustainable and circular business. First off, we will hear from Elin Larsson, an expert on sustainable textiles and program manager at Resource. Elin did not have the possibility to be here in person today, but we have recorded an interview that we made with her previously.
Well, my background is actually from the textile industry. That's where I started and been working for the last 23 years until I kind of broadened the scope and went into looking into all different kinds of materials. But I've been working in the fashion industry, and from about 2010, I started to more look into the sustainability aspect. I kind of realized what impact the textile industry had, and just had this passion and this drive to help change the industry. So I'm the program director for Resource, which is a strategic innovation program. We have 17 of those in Sweden, and they are funded by the government. And Resource is focusing on looking into how can we have a sustainable use of materials and keeping the scope within the planetary boundaries. So we're supporting research, innovation in line with those goals. Well, I guess first of all, it's an industry with a lot of impact. So they say that 3 to 8% of the climate impact comes from the textile industry. It uses huge amount of resources in terms of water, chemicals, oil, and release a lot of greenhouse gases. And 80% of the climate impact comes from the production phase of clothing's life cycle, so to say. And it differs, and you can look into the material aspect of it. That has that's not really sustainable as it looks today. We use a lot of cotton, for instance, which is not a good fiber from many aspects, both environmental and socially. The biggest fiber is polyester, which comes from crude oil. So we need a shift there. Then if you look into the production processes and the wet processes to dye a garment, also old conventional processes that use a lot of resources. That's one part of it. But then you have the business aspect. We have businesses that are optimized for liner setup, and that kind of is built on overproduction. So that's really a challenge as well. And then you have the user aspect. We buy too much stuff. We are very wasteful during user phase. So in looking at Swedish numbers, we get rid of about 14 kilos per year. 8 of those ends up in the waste. And if you look in the trash, what's actually in there, 60% of the clothes are in such a good shape you could wear them again. So we are wasteful during user phase as well. And then in terms of closing the loop for textiles, in terms of recycling, it's basically, we have a long way to go still. So 1% of all textiles globally gets recycled into new textiles again, and about 20% gets recycled into anything, you know, like dishcloth or isolation in car and so on. So it's we have some big challenges to challenge and change. Well, first of all, we need to find new business models so we can move away from the overproduction that we see today, and looking at both how can we increase purchase position. Do we really need to have the way of how we produce things today, for instance, is one aspect. Can we use AI as help to increase purchase precision? What different alternatives can we have in terms of offering the clothing to our customers? Do we really just need to sell stuff, new stuff, or can we, you know, have a business setup for secondhand, pre-loved things, which I prefer to call it, or rental or subscription model? And if businesses are starting to change to that, we also need the users and customers to be able to want this, you know, to start change their behavior, to real thinking that, okay, I'm going to this party Friday evening, I don't need to go and buy a new piece of clothing. I can rent it for this specific occasion, or I can borrow from a friend, or I can buy a pre-loved piece. So it's also a behavioral change that it's needed. Another big aspect is traceability and transparency. So when you buy something new, for instance, as a customer, we do know that a lot of customers want to buy more sustainable, but they don't know how to, because it's really hard to choose what is the right choice. And the brands are not really helping them to make the right choices. So traceability and transparency is going to be a key driver to change the industry, I think, where you can follow the product, the whole life cycle of a product, and see the impact that it had. And that's good both from the customer when buying the stuff, but also in the end, when the clothes is worn out and maybe comes to a recycler, they can actually see, okay, this is a garment made of this material and it should go into this recycling stream. So I think those are the key topics to change the industry. It's going to be, in production, actually, there is a lot of innovation in terms of technology today. It just needs to be used. It needs to be implemented, and we have we have a long way to go there still. Hopefully that's starting to change, but looking ahead in terms of production processes, we can already today use what do you call it, bacteria, like microorganism, to dye a fabric. Then you don't need any chemicals at all, right? So that's really cool. You can use, you can dye a product using carbon dioxide instead of water, which means if you could capture that from the air, you would actually have a climate positive process for that. But I also think we do need more solutions. So yes, technical solutions, really important, but also the thinking of innovation in terms of processes and how to implement these things. And in terms of materials, I just need to say this as well, it's looking ahead. I think use of virgin raw material is not going to be, I hope will not be as much. So we will more use waste from other industries, everything from the food industry, from the plastic industry, and so on, that will actually feed into our materials. And there's also trials being done right now where you also use greenhouse gases from the air, you capture it, and you remake it into plastic again, which can then be used as a polyester fiber in clothing. And then all of a sudden you have a climate positive material. So, yeah. Digitalization is just part of their world in a different way. So I'm hoping that AI digitalization can help with the way we shop, the online shopping, how will that be perceived in the future? That's a problem right now with a lot of returns, because you order online, you try it out, you try it on at home, and then you send it back. That's wasteful. So is that something that the younger generation could help us with, look into? I also see the whole behavior, the user behavior. Here I really hope to get their eyes on it, and because to be able to change a behavior on how we look at our wardrobe and how we consume fashion, it needs to be an attractive solution. It's not going to be driven out of just conscious. It needs to appeal to you to be able to try out new ways of doing things. Mm. I think you should focus where your passion is. As I said, there are different challenges within the different parts of the life cycle, and we actually need help and solutions for all parts. So I think you should listen to yourself where you have the passion. Is it with user behavior? Is it with technical solutions in production? Or is it digital solutions for traceability and transparency? Yeah, I think you need to listen to your guts to decide that. You know, and 2030, when I started with this in it's now 10 years ago, we set up goals for 2030, and it's a long way there. Now it's close. It's just 10 years ahead. We should remember that. So we're not fully circular by 2030, but I hope we have come a long way. And I hope that we have a huge increase of those more sustainable alternatives when it comes to materials. We have production processes that doesn't leave such a big impact. I would hope that 1/3 of all products being consumed one way or the other are pre-loved. 1/3 is being offered to customers by rental or subscription. And 1/3, yeah, that's new purchases, but it's conscious purchases where sustainability is kind of a natural part of when you buy new things. And you will know where the products come from, so you can make conscious choices as a consumer. And 2030, for sure, no clothes should end up in the trash. We should have, streams, take-back streams for those, so that make sure we use the resources, which it is. It's not waste, it's resources. We should use them in the right way, either into new textiles, or maybe these materials are fed into some other industries' material streams. Yeah, well, I try to do good. It's not always easy, I promise you that. But I do buy a lot of pre-loved stuff. So what I'm wearing today, it's actually, everything is pre-loved one way or the other. The pants I'm wearing are locally made in London, but it's made of a overstock, so it's material. So they bought, so to make sure nothing goes to waste. The earring that I'm wearing is actually waste from a waste material that we have this jewelry designer that looking at different waste streams, collect those and make unique pieces. And I think that's what we need to see. We need to find those, find those waste streams and create something beautiful out of it. And then, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you, Elin, again. And we move straight on to Danica Krajic Jensfeldt, a robotics professor at the Royal Institute of Technology here in Stockholm. She couldn't join us either, but we recorded her from her office earlier this week.
I think that textile and fashion industry is one of the industries that haven't been yet penetrated and disrupted enough by the technological change. And I think that in terms of my research, such as robotics and artificial intelligence, we can offer solutions to that industry to make it more sustainable. There are many possible applications for solutions for the whole supply chain, given that is everything from sourcing the raw material to working towards the customer. For example, we can look into make sourcing of cotton, for example, more sustainable, use less waters by using outdoor applications of robotics, flying agents, for example. We can make the work of workers in logistic chain and big storages much less cumbersome by having mobile robots delivering goods and so on. But it's also working directly with the customer, understanding what customer needs and wants by using artificial intelligence and understanding better the needs and providing support into choosing the right clothes. So there are many possibilities. It is extremely important to have young users, young developers, and young consumers in the loop when thinking of the future solutions for fashion industry. I think that young people understand very much what they like and don't like about how the society looks today and how they would also like to tailor, especially fashion industry, in order to be more sustainable. And I also think that sometimes they can come up with solutions that are a little bit different from the solutions that people that have been in the industry for a long time and maybe don't see the potential of new technologies. So I think it's important. I think to start with, that international collaboration is very important because it offers people from different cultures, backgrounds, and so on to come together and find solutions that maybe are, well, new and disruptive for this particular industry, but any other industry too. So I think that what is important is that we are just open-minded and build very interdisciplinary teams, international, cross, as I said, disciplines, cross cultures, where people with maybe with a design background, with interest in psychology, for example, come together with people that are engineers. So I think that this is what we need more of, because this is what is going to kind of offer new solutions to a more, let's say, classical sectors. I think it's extremely important to be open-minded and think of what one would like to achieve long term. But then when it comes to concrete solutions, think what smaller portion of that kind of like big goal I can achieve short term. So dream big, but do small to start with. What hasn't yet been automated, and today, apart from actually having just mobile robots that move goods around, is everything that has to do with deformable object manipulation. So as humans use their hands when they iron shirts, when they fold shirts, and so on, this is where the front line in research is today, and this is where we are going to see the next generation of robots actually working, using their hands and their arms to interact with textile. 2030, it feels just around the corner, but I really hope that we will make the whole fashion industry more sustainable. Now, what that requires is that the attempt is made from the producer sides, but it also requires a more, let's say, educated customer. I think that today clothes has become very cheap. And I think that we are not always thinking twice before buying a second or the third pair of jeans or black pants. So I hope that in 2030 we have all become a more educated fashion consumer by using things longer and buying less.
Thank you very much, Danica. And now we have the privilege to welcome Felicia Reuterswärd up on stage, Sustainability Manager at H&M Sweden. Welcome. She is joined on stage by Yasaman Beiki and Jonathan Bäckvall, both participants of the Junior Academy during the last year. So welcome up on stage, and thank you all very much for coming. So I have a first question to you, Felicia.
Yes.
You work for a fast fashion brand. Do you want to set the stage of what parts of this transition phase are H&M actively working on right now?
I think, first of all, I think Elin really set the frame on what are the challenges in the fashion industry. And they are exactly the same as we see as well. And we are coming from a linear model. And as we see here, we need to change to a circular business model. And that has different aspects. And we are a global player, and we act all over the world. So we have a big, big responsibility here. And so we need to look at all the processes. But we started off with setting a climate goal and strategy. And we did that together with scientists. So we have set a goal to become climate positive in our whole value chain by 2040, and a goal to become climate neutral in our production by 2030, and also have an ambition to become fully circular. And then we need to work, as Elin said, with all the stages. We cannot just start with one. We need to work with everything at the same time. So the design process, this is where you start with the actual garment, and that's where the decision is made, what's going to happen at the end. So here we're looking into, or already started working with circular design principles, and also looking into durability. So what happens with the garment once maybe I don't want to have it anymore? Can someone else use it? Can it be used in a different way? And then also, of course, can it be recycled, as Elin said? What type of material is it? And then you have the production process. Oh, sorry, first we have actually the raw material, as Elin said. And here we have set the goal to have 100% recycled or sustainably sourced material by 2030. And right now we are at around 57%. But the challenge here is the recycled part. So the recycled part is very small. I think it's around 2% for us right now, 2 or 3. And so here we're testing all the time and looking for new innovations. So, I mean, we have tested, as Elin said, waste from other industries. You can today make textile from old orange, from the juice industry, the waste from the juice industry. You can make textile. You can make it from old plastic waste from the beaches. So we're testing this, and some we have been able to scale up and have in our daily assortment. But here's our responsibility to then test and scale up. This is the challenge here, but we need to scale up the innovations, but also invest in new innovations. And we have this really cool innovation here in Sweden called Renew Cell in Kristinehamn, and they have come up with a way to recycled cellulosic fiber, and that we have started, we're investing in them, and we have started to buy from them as well, and we have it in our assortment, which is also really cool. But here, more investments and more testing and scaling up is really important. And then we have the production processes, and here Elin talked about around 80% is from this part. And it comes from everything from what the tractor is using, what kind of fuel the tractor is using on the cotton field, to the energy use where the textile is being washed and colored and then actually made. And here they use way too much bad energy, so to say. And our responsibility here is to help our suppliers, that we don't own any factories, so we need to be a support here. How can we build a business case together with you to actually switch to solar or wind? So that's our job here, and that, I would say, at the moment is the biggest challenge, and the things that we really need to focus much more on right now in order to change. And then we have what Elin talked about, the user phase. here we're testing new business models, rental, for example, repair service we have in some stores here in Sweden. We also work with local partners that we can help out with repairing your garments so it lives longer. We're also having our garment collecting in all our stores, where you can come in with any garment in any condition, and we make sure that you follow the waste hierarchy. So what's best for the environment is to use the garment again, and if it's not possible, Elin talked about further down the line, you can make clothes, and then we might sit on old textile in here. So here we also need to be part of changing the customer's behavior. So I would say we're not working on only on one part, it's all of these parts are important in this journey to try to shorten it.
It's good to hear that you take your responsibility serious. So Yasaman and Jonathan, what were the most important things that you heard in the film? And also, would you like to ask Felicia something? Jonathan, would you like to start?
Yeah. The parts that I picked up from the movie was actually to realize how big of a piece the textile industry brings to the carbon emissions, and to realize that it's a bigger problem that I thought of from the beginning, and to actually realize that, like she said, that there are a lot of innovations on the market, but they are not being used. And I think we need to focus on that part, to focus on making the industry use the already existing innovations, and not choosing the cheapest way of producing clothes.
Definitely. Yasaman, what were your thoughts from the film?
My thoughts were that what they said in the film was that textile industries, they have a very huge climate impact, and it can be because they use very much water, chemicals, oils, and they're not so sustainable. And just like Jonathan said, there are already so many solutions with help of artificial intelligence, but other ways too that we could use those solutions to make a more environment-friendly textile industry. And as you said, I think the same. We need to come up with new solutions, but also in the beginning start using the solutions we already have. And yeah, that were my thoughts.
Jonathan, do you have any questions for Felicia?
Yeah, I have one question, and it's more about the social life than the actually production of new solutions. And that is that many workers and their life is based on the textile industry. They live, they work on the same place every day. And if you bring up new AI or new solutions, they may exclude the possibility for them to bring in money or to live. And I think it's easy to think greater good. We lower the carbon emission and stuff like that. But I think we need to value human life as well. We can't just take away people's living and life. And I think that is a big problem, to find a balance between social and new solutions.
I think it's a really great that you bring it up, because sometimes you tend to forget on the one side, but they are so connected, so you cannot leave out one or the other. And this is, of course, in our, I would say, whole value chain, I think we give 1.6 million people work somewhere in this value chain. So it is also important when we do this work, we do it together with suppliers a lot. We want to stay with the suppliers that want to change. We also want to stay with and invest in them and for a long term. But also, how can we help? What are other new ways of work, so to say, within the change that we are in? So that's also our responsibility on this journey, not to forget about that, because as you say, it's their lives. They depend on this work, and in these countries it's really, really, important. They don't have any other social network. So I think it's really good that you bring it up, and it's usually forgotten in this. So we need to think about people in the value chain as well once we change. I don't know if that was a good answer, but I mean, it is a really big
Yeah.
challenge as well for us. So I agree.
Thank you. Yasaman, did you have a question?
I had two questions, if that is okay.
Yes, of course.
My first question is, every day artificial intelligence is getting huger and huger in the society, and I was wondering, how does H&M use artificial intelligence both in making a more sustainable textile industry, but also getting to know what the consumers need and want?
I mean, we work with it a lot. Now I'm not the expert in the AI, but both for what the customer wants, but also I would say, which is a huge problem, is overproduction today in the textile industry. And here we need to become, I mean, overproduction is both bad for the environment and for the business. I mean, it's not good for either of us. So here we're using AI and looking into how can we become better, more of an, how to say, on-demand production. So here AI is really important. So we're looking into that a lot and working with it. But it's not my expertise, but yes, it's really important for us to be able to become climate positive and also fully circular.
And my second question was, in the film they mentioned that many want to buy sustainable textile, but they don't know how to. And I was wondering, what does H&M do for the customers that don't know how to buy or how to be a part of sustainable textile industry?
And as you heard, I mean, it's so many parts of the actual value chain that has a climate impact that usually maybe a customer said transport is where the biggest impact is, but it's not right. So we have to be part of educating the customer. And I agree, transparency is so important. And we're part of a bigger global project called HIG Index, where we work together with a lot of brands, suppliers, and organizations to set a standard. So we say the same thing, because if you talk about different things, it's hard to compare. So you need to, if the transparency, it needs to be for the whole industry. And here, hopefully this will come very, very soon, even on product level. So you as a consumer can see, I mean, A, B, or C, or how much impact the actual garment has had. And then what is your impact, and how do you need to take care of the garment? So this is really important, and also what Elin mentioned, that you know what's in the garment, also from a customer perspective, but also then for a recycling perspective. Because today we have it in these small labels, and the customer tend to cut them off, and then when you don't know what's in it, and then it's hard to recycle it. So yes, it's really, really important. So we're part of this big project. And transparency has different parts. Already today, as a customer, you can go in and click on a garment on our website, and you can see in the actual factory it has been produced, and the address and actually the phone number. So you as a consumer knows exactly where it's been produced. So that's another part of the transparency aspect as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Felicia, I have a question for you. Why do you think it's important to listen to young minds?
Oh, I think they are the tomorrow's decision makers. They are also our future customers. And for us to be a successful business in the future, if we want to say, we need to be relevant for the customers, but they also need to be part of this journey. Otherwise, we will not be able to change. So I think it's so important. And all the ideas, I mean, they can be crazy ones, but parts of it can be things that you can actually start using. So I think it's so important.
Glad to hear. Thank you. Yasaman, if you were to take on this challenge, do you have your passion in a specific way of the chain or a specific part?
That's a hard question. But I will say it's everything. I think everything begins with the customers, because the producers make things that the customers buy and what they want. And so I think the most important thing that I will work in a challenge is to find a way to educate customers and to show them or like help them find sustainable textile that they can buy, so that they know what they can buy, and as you said, how much climate impact that textile or that clothes had. And that was that's what I would focus on.
Great. Jonathan, what would you choose?
Yeah, I would probably choose to work on the industry actually choosing more expensive alternatives to clothing, but better ways. Like they use very cheap alternatives today, and they are using oils and stuff, and it's real bad for the climate. And I think the industry needs to take a responsibility to actually lose some money and win like back some carbon dioxide emissions. And I think that's a big part that we need to get to the industry and actually make them realize that they are making a big impact, and to say to them that okay, you need to make this decision and take those solutions and not just look at it as money. We need to look at it as like a responsibility to stop the carbon emission.
That's very important.
Yes.
We will end this session by the announcement that we're very honored that Felicia has agreed to be one of the judges for this challenge. So are you excited to see all the solutions?
Yes, I am actually. I mean, a lot of it I hope that I can also bring back to H&M and H&M Group. H&M Group has a lot of brands, so that we can use it.
Let's hope for that. So thank you very much for coming, Felicia.
Yeah. Thank you.
We will keep Jessamine and Jonathan on stage, and we say most welcome to Sara Rydell here on stage, and Rasmus Häggqvist, who is joining us by link from London. Welcome, Sara, and welcome, Rasmus.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. Or not welcome. Hi.
Thank you. So both of you were team leaders for a winning team last year. Sara for a team in the Intelligent Homes and Health Challenge, and Rasmus for the Cybersecurity in the Age of IoT Challenge. So Rasmus, you have experience from participating in 2 different challenges. What are your thoughts on forming teams on Launchpad, and do you think that diversity matters?
What a good question. I must say, diversity is definitely one of the biggest aspects you have to think about it if you're going to form a team, because there's a natural instinct with people. It's very famous in psychology that if we have just one skill, we like to use it on everything. We use the same tool for every type of problem. And it doesn't work, does it? So what you have to make sure of is that you get people from all over the world with different experiences, different ideas, different skills, of course, and combine them the best way possible to make a well-functioning team.
And did you do that in your team?
Well, the first time I did, it was just me and my friend from Sweden, and it didn't go too well. But the other time, we were 2 from Sweden, one from the Philippines, one from India, and one from Canada. And let me tell you, it was great.
Fantastic, very nice to hear. So, Sara, you also have experience from 2 different challenges. What was your experience on leading a team and especially making everyone's contributions come together in the end?
So the overall experience, I say that, well, was a very great challenge, but also extremely fun in the process. Through this process, I learned lots and developed lots of skills, like improving my research and other valuable skills for the future. But as a team leader, you also have to focus on the full picture, take extra responsibility in making everything fit together and keep track of like the team members. So that's very important skills to have, and I think it would also be very important in the future.
Did you have a good connection with your mentor in the team?
So our mentor gave us lots of positive feedback and helped us look into certain aspects of our project that we could develop, and it was very valuable to have someone else outside of the project to say, like give a little response or like to help us develop what we were working on.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. So, Jonathan, you participated both in the Intelligent Homes Challenge and then you were team leader in the Transportation Challenge.
Yep.
Were your two teams similar or different, and how were your experiences from those?
Yeah,
both?
so they were very different. My first team, we were just 3 people. It was 2 from Sweden, me and my friends, and we had one guy from Bosnia, and he was the team leader. And so, because we were so few, we could like have a better dialogue and like cooperate a lot better than to have more people. I think it's easy to if there's a lot of people, some might not have something to do, and when you have less people, I think it's easier to like assign everybody with something. And so yeah, and we actually had a fortune to have everybody in the same time zone, and I think that's a big problem that people are having, that not everybody's in the same time zone, and that like destroys a lot of the meetings because of the time zones. Like when I am available, some people might be in school or sleeping. So we had a fortune to everybody being in the same time zone. And in the other challenge I participated in, I was the team leader, and we were a full team, and everybody was from different time zone. So there were like a 10-hour gap. That was the biggest gap. So it was really hard to like have those meetings to actually FaceTime each other or like Skype each other because due to the time zone. So sometimes I had to actually start the meeting when I was at school. And I think it was an interesting experience leading the team, because when I was led by someone, I learned a lot of like expertise and to listen to a leader. When I was the leader, I learned to like teach the people that was in the challenge to like I don't know how to say it, but like to inform them in a certain way. I think it's you get listened to another way if you're a leader, and I think that was the 2 biggest like difference that was from the 2 challenges.
Very interesting, thank you. And Yasaman, you have during the last year participated in 3 challenges. What are your experiences, especially on the phase of forming a team?
Well, I would say in the beginning when I chose to be part of the challenges, I went for in Launchpad. There is a place where it's called projects, and then where you can see the projects that are already there and people in the teams, and so you can give them requests that I want to be in your team, and they can accept it or say no, unfortunately you can't be part of our team. But the thing I would say about team building, the first thing I thought about is finding people, because you can go in people's profiles and see what is their interest and what they think about and what they like. And the first thing I thought is finding people with similar interests, because then we understand each other much better, we have same interests, and we can work together much better if we have, and we can also get to know each other in the process. And so that was the first thing I thought when making team. But also I think it's very important when you're making a team that that everybody has, the work has to be divided, so the work isn't only on one person, or it should be divided equally. And it's more fun, and it goes so fast when everybody chooses something they like about and is passionate about. So those are my experiences.
Thank you very much. So Rasmus, I have a question to you. I understand that for your second challenge, you actually went out and almost headhunted your team. Is that true? And how did you go about that?
Okay, so for the second round, I did a lot of things. I made a Google form, posted on the discussion page where people could reach out and fill out their contact details and their interests. So I got to know them through there. Also, you can also go onto people as previously said, and you can click on different people and message them directly. So I message a bunch of people, try to get in contact with them, trying to understand what their strengths and weaknesses are. And I just made a big list and tried to fit like all of them into like the same puzzle. So I tried to look at them as puzzle pieces and see who had which strengths and how could I cover up someone else's weaknesses with them. Because in the end, you may have like a great team with a bunch of different cool aspects and they are all super great, but if you can't work together, the whole thing falls apart.
Thank
So
you.
that's like that.
Yeah, it's very interesting to hear. I think that the process of forming a team or joining a team or creating a team is one of the most difficult tasks actually in the Junior Academy. And then once a team is formed, you also have to work efficiently online. So Sara, I know that your team in the Intelligent Homes Challenge was across very many time zones. So how did you make the
4 different ones?
4 different time zones? Yeah. How did you make the work?
So actually, as I mentioned before, many people actually have lots of video calls and meetings to work. We did everything more individually, although we chatted a lot and decided what topics and things we were supposed to do, divided the tasks, but otherwise we worked a lot on our own and then had discussions about the work that we then collected and tried to summarize for deliverables.
Yeah, that sounds. But do you think that you missed out on getting to know your participants since you didn't see them or talk to them in
Partially.
voice?
So we have been keeping in touch, but as other since we have access to Launchpad with lots of different talents, one of the best experiences in Junior Academy is probably to get to know other people. And if you have team meetings with your members, it would probably be a very good way to connect to each other. Although, just because you are working in a team doesn't mean that you will, create meaningful relationships. So, the important part is probably to reach out, be open with people, and yes, try and find people with similar interests and maybe people who have other passions, and just try and connect.
Yeah. Jonathan, do you have any comments on the social aspect? Did you use Junior Academy and Launchpad for social connections as well?
Yeah, so in the start we chat a lot through Launchpad, but then we decided to move on because I think it's a different experience to FaceTime someone and to actually look them in the eyes or via link. And I think that brings a better connection to actually see the person that you're talking to. It's easy to hide behind a false identity with chats and stuff, but when you're FaceTiming someone, it's a lot more open. And it's like to talk to them in person, and I think I like that experience more than to chat with people.
And was it important for you to get to know the participants in your teams?
Yeah, I think it's a important step because you get to know the people and their skills and why they have chosen their skills. And I think that's a big asset for the team to actually understand the other people working and their history and therefore form a better team and have better connections.
Fantastic. And Yasaman, what are your biggest, take-home messages? What do you bring from the Junior Academy into your daily life?
What I take experiences from there into my daily life.
Yeah.
I would say I learned very much in these 3 challenges, so much, both communicating with people and learning how to work with different people from different backgrounds and cultures, but also making new friends. And for example, in my first challenge, we were all new with Junior Academy, and so everybody was so excited. And we still chat with each other outside of Launchpad. They ask, what are you doing now? What are you working with? Do you need help with this? And we help each other. And I would say the best experience I got from Junior Academy is to have fun, work hard, get to know other people, and just try to learn new things.
Yeah, fantastic. Sounds great. So Rasmus, do you have any recommendations to newcomers into the Junior Academy?
Great question. I would say I have a few things. First of all, do not be afraid to set boundaries when you first go in. You can be very ambitious, and as previous speakers have said, like you need to aim big and spend a lot of time on stuff, and you need to be very passionate. But school always has a place. Still, we all are still in school, so you need also to focus on that. So don't be afraid to set boundaries, because you have a lot of people. If you make your team properly, you will have a lot of people that you can depend on. Codependency from everyone. So when you know that you have more something else happens in your life, you know that you can depend on your other teammates to do more stuff then, and you can catch up later. And it goes, talking about time zones, I think it's a great strength to have people from all over the place, because then you can basically work as a unit 24/7. When someone is asleep, someone else is working. So I think it's a great opportunity to have a high efficiency, because everyone can't work on the same document at the same time, because it gets very messy. So I definitely think that's actually a great strength. And to be able to look at such weaknesses and try to flip them as strengths is part of the innovation process that you need to bring as a mindset to the challenge, because it's what it's about. It's innovation, and I think the process is a big part of it.
Yeah. So right now you are in London to start
Correct.
physics at the university. So what part of your international experiences and international connections from the Junior Academy will you bring into your studies?
Very good question. Cross-cultural communication is a big thing. To be able to communicate with other people efficiently and understand them and network properly, even though they can be from somewhere completely different, with different culture, with different experiences, and to be able to work together is a great thing. And that's definitely something I bring, especially to UCL, which is such a diverse university. And I've learned plenty from the Junior Academy, which I will bring to that.
Super, very nice to hear. So Sara, what do you think that you will bring from Junior Academy to your daily life?
So in my daily life, since I've been keeping in touch with some people from Junior Academy, it's been a really fun part of my daily life to keep track of, get to know people from around the world, and also like finding meaningful contacts to learn from, have a cross-cultural exchange, and it's just amazing to get to know other talented people around the world.
And do you have any recommendations to the newcomers into the program, how to navigate and how to kind of make the most out of their time there?
So there are lots of different things that you probably need to learn by yourself, like lots of different tips. But in general, just go on and explore the platform. There are lots of resources there, and recommend to try out the different functions, look in the different resources and methods, because that will help you in the learning platform.
It's good that you mentioned this resources part. There's a lot of material and information. Did you actually go through all of it?
Well, there are some courses that you should do, and I've done most of them, although I'm planning on continue to work on them in the future as well. So there are a lot of things that you can choose from, and it should be based on your interests, probably to improve those skills you need improvement, and maybe recap just a few videos or resources on things that you feel that you already know. So you can choose among those resources and find the best approach for you.
Great tips, thank you. So Jonathan, do you have any strives to go abroad after school? Do you think that you will pursue an international career sometime?
Yeah, I have goals to prefer international. I want to study outside Sweden, and I think Junior Academy is a great opportunity to actually get to know people and getting to know the feeling of connecting with people that are not from the same situation and country as you. And I think that brings a lot of strengths when you're applying to schools outside Sweden. And I learned a lot about myself actually, and I think I can take that with me on my journey to like go international.
Mm. And do you have any recommendations to newcomers?
Yeah, it's hard. I have a lot of them, but to actually step out of your comfort zone, it's important. And think that the people you're connecting with is actually like you. We all share the same interest in the STEM fields, and not be afraid to ask when you don't understand things, because you're there to learn stuff. It's not like you don't already know everything, and I think it's important to ask when you don't understand stuff, to actually ask your teammates for guidance and when you don't understand stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have any questions to each other? Sometimes you actually do. Nothing?
No, not really.
No? Is it fun to see each other? You haven't met before, right?
No.
Yeah, so it's a strange experience to meet other members in person.
Yes.
So that's something really fun, and yeah, that's also something that is given to the members as prizes for the winners. So I think that's a wonderful prize to allow the team members to meet each other in person.
Mm.
So as we've said that, well, it can be useful to have chat dialogues, even better to maybe have a video call, but meeting someone in person would be very fun.
It's almost magical when you've been working so closely together.
Exactly.
And we all keep our fingers crossed that the summit will happen sometime. We just have to be resilient and see. Thank you. So, Rasmus, what would your dream challenge be?
Oh, what a great question. My dream challenge would be really any challenge that I could participate in again, of course, because I'm above 18. But my dream challenge would be one that could actually have an impact, and that's the great thing with Junior Academy, that they all could. There are so many possibilities to expand afterwards, and you meet so many great people, and so many of our great sponsors at Junior Academy have so many incredible opportunities afterwards to take actions on these solutions, which is such an amazing part of this challenge. That's my answer.
Thank you. And Sara, the same question to you. What's your dream challenge ahead? What would that be?
You had a really good answer. So, just like as we said, something that is a question close to your heart, so that you find something that you can really dig into. You are dedicated in that area, and as we said, you have the possibility to actually make change, collab maybe with other companies, or just get your idea out there so that it can be realized.
So impact and to make a real effort somewhere would be the dream. And Jessamine, do you have any specific area? If you're not allowed to have the same answer as Sara and Rasmus on the same question.
That's hard because they have such awesome answers. Well, I would say, because I joined, one of the reasons I joined Junior Academy is I wanted to learn so much more and meet new people, but also because I wasn't sure if I want to go in a field, natural sciences or IE or technology in the future. And I would say maybe challenge that mix like humanities and the social studies with artificial intelligence. So like both of them together, because in the society usually artificial intelligence with help of like the society, then we get an impact. And yeah, so that will be my dream challenge.
Fantastic. And now, Jonathan, you wrap up this entire event with
Yeah.
your answer.
Yeah, so at least for me, I have a lot of interests, and it's hard to say one of them. But the most important thing for me is to have a challenge where you learn stuff, to grow as a person, not just to have a topic that you love, but topic that makes you grow. And I think that is a part of why I joined the academy, to grow as a person and learn more stuff. And yeah, it's easy to forget that you need to learn. And I think it's fun to learn, and that's one of the things that I find interesting in new things about the academy, that I always learn stuff. So I think that's the summary, that I want the challenge that I learn stuff in and to grow as a person. And the topic doesn't matter, I guess.
Fantastic. Let's leave that as the closing words for today. Thank you, everyone, so much for participating. I wish you all the best of luck. Rasmus in London and you three here in Sweden, at least for a while. We will see. I hope you stay in touch with us. Thank you, everyone, and for those of you who are active participants in the Junior Academy this fall, best of luck. There will be another challenge in parallel with the Textile Challenge, so we'll see which one you choose. So thank you very much for listening today, and have a great day. Bye-bye.